Surfalorus Conversations.
To another Cucalorus conversation, or in this case, a Surfalorus conversation. My name is Zach Hanner. I'm director of the Surfalorus Film Festival, and I am here with a Surfalorus alumni and a filmmaker for this year's festival, Kuio Young, coming to us from where?
Right now I'm back home on Kauai.
Yeah, so Kuio, man, you've become like a big part of the Surfalorus Ohana. We met like 2021. You came to the Outer
Yeah,
Banks as a featured surfer.
Keith Ketchum's film.
Keith Ketchum. Yes. So tell me a little bit about how you met Keith, and we'll talk about your progression from featured surfer to filmmaker. But had you been in films prior to that? I'm assuming so.
Yeah, I've been in a couple films, like short series on Stab Magazine and stuff. But Keith lived on Kauai when I still lived here full time, and I just saw him around surfing. He filmed with some of my friends that I grew up with, and I just met him through mutual friends, and we filmed a bunch of sessions. And I would hit him up all the time. This was like when I was kind of starting to surf more and trying to make like a little name for myself and have my own video parts. And Keith was like, dude, why don't we just do a video on you? So it was like a really fun experience getting to work with him. That was at the beginning of my kind of like filmmaking journey too. And I was making my own edits, but they were for fun. So seeing him and his workflow and how he did things really helped me progress my filmmaking ability. And even though I was a featured surfer in his film at the time, it definitely kickstarted my journey into wanting to, and I guess growing my ability to make my own films like as I do now.
Well, and your story is one of those little moments of Surfalorus magic. We had just met. We were talking about the lineup for the festival, and you're like, I'm just right now finished this film, and you showed it to us. This like poignant, but also exciting, autobiographical movie Bag Poi, and talk a little bit about that, and about the fact that we tagged it onto the festival. We're like, this is too good not to show.
Yeah, that was super awesome. I went over there to the Outer Banks for the film that Keith made of me. And at the same time, I had a bunch of clips that other people shot of me, and I was kind of working on my own little edit. First time doing my own little surf video by myself with like narration and stuff. And I felt like it was just like super kooky if I was making a video about myself, and my way of letting the audience, I guess, get to know me was me talking about myself. I thought that was like the lamest thing ever. So um, I I found a way to like make it about the kalo or the taro plant, and I guess throw in a bunch of hidden meaning behind it that was kind of like reflective of myself and my life, and kind of layered the soundtrack to also maybe speak things that I didn't want to say about myself or whatever. I thought that was the most authentic way to represent myself without being a kook that's like, here, this is all about me. Like, check it out.
Right, right.
So I try my best to make it entertaining and make it something that people were not learning just about myself, but more so about Hawaiian culture and the taro plant, which is very sacred to Native Hawaiian people and culture and a big part of our culture and history. So if people learned a thing or two about me from that video, great. But the main thing was for them to be entertained by some surfing and learn a little bit about Hawaiian culture, the practice of making poi and harvesting kalo, which was really, really fun for me and a good challenge because I was able to focus on that and let that do kind of the speaking for me rather than talk about myself.
Well, I mean, it was really as the person who's been a professional actor for over 30 years and who's written plays, worked as a freelance journalist. The use of that metaphor, the tarot, and its growth from planting in the patch to becoming poi. I mean, it was a really great bit of storytelling, and incorporating your dad and his passing. It was very poignant, and I love the way you kind of began with the smooth flowing longboard stuff and the Gabi Pa Nui, slack key, and then the middle piece was bombastic and like amazing hardcore rap and showing you busting these airs and just kind of giving two really different views of surfing. And it also spoke to about you as a surfer and a person. And I mean, for a first, that was your first edit, right?
Yeah, that was my first. I would say like my first real edit because I'd made ones before that were just kind of like fun, this and that. But that was the first one that I took seriously and was like, okay, I want to make something that I'll be happy putting my name on as like I made this.
I mean, it stole the show and was an award winner. So when you came back last year with Freelance, which is another, it's like another chapter in your story, and talk about, what led up to that as you kind of transition from, being a featured surfer into a filmer and all of the, professional obligations and commitments that come with trying to make a living in the surf industry.
Totally. Yeah, when I made freelance, it was like a time in my life where I was going from focusing only on surfing and like being the surfer to doing production work for other people. So I worked for like Stab Magazine at the time, had a couple other freelance clients, worked for some tourism boards, some surf brands. It was definitely like stressful making the transition. I'm glad I was able to do it at the time that I did because I would have hated to like surf for years and years and years and then not be able to surf anymore. I wonder like, oh, what do I do and have no skills?
Right.
Because that would have been unfortunate. But it was a good time in my life to learn about finding the balance and things and figuring out how I could still pursue my passion of surfing and still do surfing that I was proud of, but at the same time make a living for myself and begin this new chapter of my life of producing and directing work for other people and other brands. And it's funny when I look at that film now, I feel like it was definitely like the middle stage of my life between where I was as a surfer to then making that film and being like in the thick of it in that, I guess, transient portion of my life, and then where I'm at now, doing a lot more directing and having my own media production company, which is just for me now, it's just as fun as like pursuing surfing because I still get that same feeling that I get when I like the feeling that I would get getting a good wave, I get when I deliver a good project and I make the client happy.
Mhm.
And it's pretty cool now because I just came off like 3 months straight of work. Although I've been working while I've been on whatever vacation, it's been nice to actually enjoy time to surf with my friends and not have like stress attached to it of, oh, like I need to stack clips for this or that or this. That's what I kind of feel like I knew that I still love surfing. I still feel like now I've been able to do some of my best surfing yet, but I don't live and die by getting a clip anymore, which to me felt really great to know that I'm past that point in my life.
Well, and it's wise on your part to have like realized that, a few years ago, unlike a lot of professional athletes who don't have, a second act in mind, and in this, I feel like your surfing is very artistic, and expressive of who you are, and in the same way, your films are like that. That was one of my favorite parts of freelance, and you were talking about not wanting to talk about yourself, and I really thought you're like animated. Was a dog? Wasn't that?
It was like just
It
like
was
a
like,
cartoon
yeah, it was
character.
like a little clip
Yeah.
art character that was
Yeah.
kind of narrating. So it was like you had like an avatar for yourself to kind of like, you know, ask you questions and then you answer, and then I thought it was very clever, and of course it was really well received. But
Thanks. No, it was good fun. I was super happy with how that film turned out and the process of making it was really fun. And yeah, I think now I'm finally at the point now where I look back at some of the films that I made and it's cool because it kind of like encapsulates a portion of my life that I was in. And if there's times where I feel like, I don't know, uninspired or that I don't know what to do, I look back at those things and try to remember what I was like in that headspace. And it's like, well, I've kind of evolved and um, learned so much since then that I can kind of ping pong between where I'm at now and where I was before and find some type of inspiration or direction from those like thoughts or moments in between.
Yeah, and it gives you a document to kind of reference as you go through, you know, your filmmaking path. And this year you submitted, I mean, you pitched it to me, all of these, a couple of years worth of North Shore footage, and you're like, all of them are makes, bro.
Yeah.
And man, was it impressive. Talk a little bit about um, how like getting connected with all these people to film. Assuming you're going on tour stops and that sort of thing too. I sent you
Yeah.
a video where they shouted you out on the WSL broadcast
Yeah, I
with
remember that.
with
Joe Turpel.
yeah, man.
Yeah,
I was
yeah.
like, that's my guy, Joe Fell. But yeah, talk about getting involved in that scene, because I can only imagine that's a challenging. I mean, it's got to be rewarding and cool to be around the best servers in the world in the best waves. But talk about some of the challenges you might face, or like moments that you would never have experienced if you hadn't got connected like that.
Totally, yeah. I think my approach and my path that I have with my filmmaking that I do now and my opportunities that I get to film with, some world tour surfers is definitely very unique because as a kid I would like compete with some of my friends that are on tour now just at like an amateur level. And I knew them first as like friends and surfing partners and stuff like that. And the filming came later for me, which I think is probably different to most people. But yeah, I feel like a lot of the surfers today, or excuse me, a lot of the filmers today, um, they are at least for the tour, and I this is just my opinion. There's a lot of people that want to be involved with like the tour and they want to like follow these guys around and this and that, which is definitely super fun, and I can see why they would want to do that. Um, but for me, it was different because I was just hanging out with a lot of my friends, like, oh, you have a camera, like you're getting pretty good at it. Do you want to just like come and film this or do this or that?
Well, and I mean, I I don't know who else is out there filming on the tour, but I would guess that you have to be one of the better surfers amongst the filmers. I'm sure there are some good surfers out there who are doing a similar thing as you, like utilizing filming and editing to kind of create a career. Because let's face it, only a very few people make the pro tour, and it's even harder to be a photo pro these days.
Totally.
That's the subject of our opening movie. Talk about the various things you have to deal with in terms of keeping your filming career vibrant, and then staying sane and happy and getting some waves yourself.
Totally. Yeah, I'm stoked you asked that. I feel like I've only really started to get some sort of a grasp on it in the last year, but it's funny doing what I do now. I wear multiple hats. Like I had a portion of my life where I just edited. I had a portion where I just filmed, and now that um, some athletes and brands give me the opportunity to actually like direct and produce some of these projects, I can see a lot of what goes on end to end. I think that was definitely very eye-opening to me to see how like there has been like a very large like consolidation of the surf industry, and there definitely isn't as much money as there used to be, and people have to work a lot harder to get it. So to me, it was a little bit reassuring to be like, okay, I feel like given my situation and my skill set, I feel confident in the decision that I made, and I still get to surf a bunch. But I do feel like I'm happy with the living that I'm able to make now with these projects that I'm able to work on, and then just finding that balance because, like you said, there's times where it gets stressful and you almost feel insane when you're going like weeks on end filming somebody else or working on a brand campaign, editing something and filming, and you're not getting much sleep, and then you're going for a couple weeks straight doing that, and then you have a day or two of rest, and it's like another project pops up and then you jump on that. Like that's my number one thing is I always want to be progressing at something, and right now that's been filmmaking. So that challenge keeps me going, and now knowing when to budget my surf time and when to walk away from the computer and grab my board or vice versa is something that I still am figuring out, but I feel like I have a little bit of a better grasp on it now.
Uh, talk about developing that rhythm or that, kind of personal style that you have. Tell me how that has developed and continues to.
Oh, yeah, I think music's always been a really big part of my life. My dad was a Hawaiian musician, accomplished musician. He encouraged me to listen to all kinds of music and introduced me to all kinds of people that played styles of music that were very different from his. So yeah, music is a huge part of my life. And growing up watching surf films, the ones that stuck out to me the most were the ones that had music that I felt created its own vibe within the segments. And it didn't always have to be music that I particularly liked. I think just when I saw the music to some extent line up with the surfing where I could feel or see some type of connection, audio and visual, see the connection between the surfing and the music, that really did it for me and that really stuck out to me. So it is the music to me is a huge part of it. And I always want to have music that I want music that the audience can relate to some extent, but I also like having music that the audience may not necessarily like or relate to, but once they see it accompany some style of surfing or waves, that they can make that connection that it goes along well with. I hope that it can almost like inspire them to like that type of music.
I feel like the best filmmakers in your genre have good taste and
Yeah.
understand how to pair it with what they're with the emotion and energy they're trying to convey with the sections. So you're going to Indonesia. Can you talk about potentially? Can you talk about like what that project or who you're going with?
Yeah. It's gonna be just with like a local Hawaiian surfer. Still in like the beginning planning phases. It's a couple weeks out. But yeah, be just going to Indonesia. But yeah, probably just bring my water housing. I've been super psyched. I got a new housing for my red, which I've been just like loving. And to me, I get the same feeling doing that, swimming with that housing and getting good clips as I do surfing myself.
Right.
So probably just try to go around Indonesia. I'm not sure exactly where we're gonna go yet, but hopefully somewhere where I can do a lot of swimming with the housing, get some surfing in, and find a little bit better of that work surf balance.
I think everybody probably realizes, the sincerity with which you approach your gig, the spirit that that you have, and we're just thrilled you're part of the Surfalorus Ohana, and looking
Thank
forward
you.
to showing your movie. There's going to be a whole bunch of Groms there who are going to be going nuts. And you know how I do when I introduce the shows. I'm like, listen, don't sit on your hands. Let's hoot for whatever you see. And I think it's going to be a loud one for
For sure.
North.
Uh, I hope so. I hope so. I really appreciate it. I'm looking forward to seeing everybody. And I just love coming to the Outer Banks and visiting. I always have the best time over there. People are so welcoming. Event's great. Feel super welcome, and the hospitality over there is like makes me feel like I'm at home in Hawaii, which I love. So I can't
Yes.
wait to be over there, see everybody, see all you folks, interact with the crowd, and hopefully see a bunch of stoked people enjoying the film.
All right. Well, get back to work, and I'll let you go, my dude. But I look forward to seeing you. And thanks again for submitting this amazing movie. And I'll see you soon.
Right on, Zach. Thank you very much. Appreciate all you guys. Shout out Surfalorus and Kukaloris for the last couple of years that you guys have been, showing me aloha. But I really, really appreciate it, and looking forward to being with you guys again soon.